Alrighty, yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka G-Lauren33. Thank you guys so much for once again joining me right here on the Legit Shoot podcast, here with your Monday Night Raw review and results for September 21st, 2020. Oh, man. And the question I gotta ask myself as we enter into tonight's review: is there really a pay-per-view this Sunday? If you guys are in the chat or in the comment section, can you actually confirm this for me? Is there actually a pay-per-view this Sunday for WWE? Or am I just going a little bit crazy? Because the show we got tonight, you would forget that Clash of Champions is this Sunday. You would forget that this Sunday, every single championship on the main roster is set to be defended. The WWE Championship, the Universal Championship, the women's titles, the tag team titles. Like, what the hell is this nonsense? There's no pay-per-view this Sunday, right? I don't have to do a podcast this Sunday. I don't have to cover this terrible product, right? Oh, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. And it's sad because if you look at the main roster, man, NXT has become the main roster, and not in a good way. Everything you see that's done on the main roster is now being done on NXT. If you guys didn't know, not only is there a main roster pay-per-view this weekend, we also have a takeover coming up. Yeah, we have a takeover coming up. It's not even named. There's no name for the takeover. But, yeah, we have two number one contender matches. We have a battle royal for the women, and I think we have like some kind of six-pack challenge for the men. What happened to the days of the old NXT when the number one contender would be built up for months? They would build up the number one contender for months, and when it came to deciding who would challenge who for championships down in NXT, it was no-brainers. The story, all you needed was the story. Now, we just do battle royals and six-pack challenges and triple threat matches that make absolutely no sense. I love Zelina Vega, but her challenging Asuka makes no sense 1 week later, but here we are. And then we're also getting matches that we've already seen 1,000 times since the pandemic started. We're seeing the Street Profits versus Garza and Andrade again. We're seeing Apollo Crews versus Bobby Lashley again. Lana is being buried. Not that I care, but clearly she's being buried because Rusev, aka Miro, is now at AEW again. I don't get it. I just don't understand how bad this show is, man. I see my bro Sal reacts in the chat as always. Before we get into anything, gotta give a shout out to him. He's the one that does all the layouts for us every single week. When you guys see the nice Clash of Champions layout this Sunday for the podcast, just know he's the guy. So if you guys need anything, go follow him on Twitter, man. He is definitely one of the best in the community. But 3 hours of absolute retarded television. Just like he said, this show was absolutely garbage tonight. It was garbage. I'm going to say this. The only thing that I care about, yes, I am excited for Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre just because I love those two superstars. But the only thing that I care about outside of down on WWE TV is the Sasha Banks and Bayley storyline. There's absolutely nothing else I care about. And maybe the Roman Reigns heel turn, even though he's a tweener at the end of the day. WWE right now is in a state of just... It's crazy. It really is. Bruce Pritchard, he needs to be fired. He needs to go. He cannot be overseeing Raw and SmackDown. We keep getting the same shows, the same matches, the same stories. And the WWE draft cannot come soon enough. I said this last week on the opening shoot. I said it. All right? We need a draft more than ever. And even though I don't even know, the draft's not going to solve all the answers, but definitely it's a start. It's a start. WWE needs to do a huge reset button with this draft. They really do, because these shows just continue to get worse and worse and worse. Last week, what did they do? A 1.69, I believe they did as a rating. But this week, what? You have Monday Night Football. I forget who the Raiders are playing, but I expect the rating to be even worse this week. Maybe a 1.5, and they deserve it. Vince McMahon out of touch. How the hell do you forget Bianca Belair's on your roster? I read a report that Vince McMahon legitimately forgot that Bianca Belair is on the roster for the women. And that doesn't tell you that Vince needs to go. Then I don't know what else. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you guys see, I'm naming all these problems with Raw. And it's the same problems week by week by week. Because they don't understand. Vince is so out of touch, and there's nobody in that damn company that will say anything to him. He is terrible at what he does. So is Bruce Pritchard, because he's just a yes man sucking Vince's cock. It's crazy. We have a pay-per-view this Sunday, and I am not excited for it. Not excited for it whatsoever. There may be 1 or 2 matches that I actually have some interest in. But most of all, this pay-per-view is going to be garbage. Nothing exciting. Retribution. Let's get into it, right? Retribution. All right, Retribution. Retribution, bro. And Saudi X says they built the 3 hours on that final RKO. They set up Retribution in the beginning to set up this RKO spot. You took the words right out my mouth. They built this show all about Retribution because Retribution came out and they, first of all, WWE repackaged them, right? WWE repackaged them. They came out with, this new look, right? They have like a new Tinatron. They have no music. They just come through the crowd or whatever, or through the Thunderdome. Who gives a shit, right? They have this new design. They got face paint on. They got masks. All this other stuff, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. It looks like Halloween gone wrong. I don't know who is in charge of making Retribution's designs, but that looks absolutely terrible. We have a clear indication of who are the 5 core members of Retribution. Mia Yim, right? Mercedes Martinez, Dio Madden, Shane Thorne. Even though some people think it's The Miz, no, it's Shane Thorne, and Dominik Dijakovic, who cut his hair. I feel bad for man. I don't know if it was Vince or somebody else, man, but Dominik Dijakovic looks terrible bald. It's awful. But first of all, their whole new look is terrible. And now they're actually starting. We knew for months now, or a couple weeks, that they were going to be exclusive to Monday Night Raw going forward. Not that I cared. But it was announced tonight that they officially have WWE deals. So, I don't know. I didn't check. Is Mia Yim in the Battle Royal tomorrow for NXT? I hope she's not. I hope Mercedes Martinez isn't in that Battle Royal either. Because what sense would that make? Because if you guys didn't notice, they actually changed their names as well. Like Dijakovic, Madden, Shane Thorne, they're going by these ridiculous names. I don't even want to say them. I'm just going to call them by their normal names. But it's garbage. First of all, you're insulting our intelligence. Their new look sucks. And I don't care about this. I don't. It looks like Halloween cosplay gone wrong. It really looks that way. And I just can't get behind it. They came out and they did the same old garbage promo that they usually do, talking about we're gonna suck out the filth. We're gonna suck out all the nonsense and negativity, right? It's ridiculous, bro. It really is. And after they talked about how they're signed to Monday Night Raw and all this other stuff, we saw the Hurt Business come out. And Bobby Lashley said that they're not afraid of a group of people hiding behind masks. All right. Then we saw a bunch of other Retribution members coming out of nowhere. And then these members of Retribution beat down the Hurt Business. It would be later announced that in the main event of Monday Night Raw, we would have a 6-man tag team match between Lashley, Lashley, Cedric Alexander, and Sullivan Benjamin against the 3 main males of the Hurt Business. Oh my gosh, bro. I don't even know. What do you guys want me to say? First of all, the insulting our intelligence. I already talked about their look. I don't really think I need to say much more about it. But first of all, Yim, Martinez, Jajakovic, Thorne, and Madden. So, hold up. You're insulting our intelligence because if you watch NXT, they've been on WWE TV for over a year. Jajakovic, we've seen him wrestling Keith Lee for years now on NXT for the North American title, for the NXT Championship. Dio Madden, wasn't he a commentator for Monday Night Raw who got destroyed by Brock Lesnar a couple months back when things were still normal? Hello? Mia Yim, one of the stars in the NXT Women's Divisions? Mercedes Martinez, who we just saw face Rhea Ripley in a steel cage match on NXT a week ago? Shane Thorne, who we saw competing for the NXT Tag Team Championships? So they didn't have contracts despite being on NXT for the last year. Okay. Alright, and why are they wearing these, the masks are terrible. And why? The Hurt Business. The Hurt Business has actually been one of the best things on Monday Night Raw since the pandemic started. They've been one of the rare, very small positives of this show. And yet you kill their momentum by having them beat down by the Retribution multiple times on tonight's show? What does that do for the Hurt Business? They should not be. They should not be in this situation. Hello? And, hello, Mia Yim, isn't she dating Keith Lee? Who, their real-life relationship was featured on NXT? And last week, Mia Yim, part of Retribution, attacked Keith Lee during his match with Drew McIntyre? Am I supposed to forget this? There's just so much. And also, one last thing. Who signed them to a contract? You have them come out saying they're signed to Monday Night Raw, but who signed them to a contract? Who? Ultra, my boy Paul says they should bring back John Cena to bury Retribution, just like he did to Nexus back in 2010, the good old days, when WWE, could at least build a faction decently, even though Nexus had their flaws too. But Retribution is so much worse. It's so much worse here with Retribution. It makes absolutely zero sense what they're doing with this group. Zero sense whatsoever. And like I said, who signed them? Was it Stephanie? Was it Triple H? There's no general manager on Monday Night Raw. Was it John Laurinaitis? Was it Vince? Can I get some answers here? Can I have some sense? Can I not have my intelligence insulted? That's all I ask. Just for things to make sense. But yeah, with everything you did with Retribution tonight made no sense. And instead of making them look dominant, you fucked it up at the end of the night. The same way you fucked it up last week. And we'll get to that. But this was an awful. I know the damn cows are gonna be like, oh man, it was something different. No. It was an awful start to Monday Night Raw, which would be a common theme because most of this show was absolutely terrible. Moving on, we had a triple threat #1 contenders match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. This didn't make any sense whatsoever. I didn't watch the match, so I didn't give a shit. But this didn't make any sense. First of all, none of these three teams made any sense to be anywhere near a championship. Nowhere near a championship. First of all, the Raw Tag Team Championship has probably been booked. Well, the tag team division in general has been terrible, and I say this every single week on every single podcast. But the Monday Night Raw Tag Team Championships have been built as the worst tag team titles in the entire company. Since legit April, it's been the Street Profits against Garza and Andrade, or Garza and Austin Theory, or Andrade and Austin Theory, something like that. This is legit been going on for now, what is it? April, September, 5 months. Nearly half a year. When I say they need to merge the tag team divisions, it's not a joke. I was actually thinking, oh, maybe you have, since Bobby Lashley's the United States Championship, continuing to make the Hurt Business look dominant. Maybe you have Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander as a heel duo. Have them go up against the Street Profits. That's something I could potentially get behind. We could see some good matches and maybe see a decent story there. But no, WWE decides to have freaking Dominic Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo, which makes what? They're like, Humberto loves Ray, so now he's going to team with Dominic. They've never been in the ring together at all. No chemistry whatsoever. But all of a sudden, I'm supposed to believe that there's supposed to be an organic tag team. A tag team that is good enough to go after the Raw Tag Team Championships. And Rollins and Murphy, I believe they held the tag team titles earlier this year. But they've had no desire to go after the Raw Tag Team Championships. So, none of the three teams in this match made sense. None of them made sense. It was terrible from the start. Alright? And basically, what happened here, Buddy Murphy went to tag in Seth Rollins, but Rollins decided he had better things to do, leaving Buddy Murphy out to dry once again, turning his back on his so-called disciple, and he left the ring. Buddy Murphy then got hit with a huge elbow and then walked right into a wing clipper by Garza, getting the win for Andrade and Garza. Another thing to note here is Zelina Vega did not come out with Garza and Andrade. We do know that Vega is going to be challenging Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at Clash Champions, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But, this made no sense. Why, first of all, we've seen this match how many times since April? That's one. And another thing, what about this makes any sense whatsoever? We've seen Garza and Andrade lose to the Street Profits how many times? Why am I supposed to believe that this time is going to be different? Especially when they don't have Zelina Vega on their side. There's no story. There's no care. This will be a poop break this Sunday. I am not going to waste my time watching this match. And you guys should not either. This is what week-to-week booking gets you. You decide, oh yeah, we have to have all the titles defended on our pay-per-view. We have nobody built up for the Street Profits because our tag team division is dead and we have no teams. So let's just do Garza and Andrade for the 50 millionth time. This is why we need a draft. This is why the tag team divisions need to be merged. Period. And if Rollins and Murphy or Carrillo and Mysterio, if one of those two teams have won, I'd be saying the exact same thing. Because none of those two teams have been built up whatsoever. They haven't even been in tag team matches consistently. Makes no sense whatsoever. I have absolutely no care for the Street Profits versus Garza and Andrade. It could be the best match on the card. They're going to give me match of the year. I don't give a shit. It is an absolute waste of all of our time. Absolutely terrible. Show makes absolutely no sense. Terrible shit. Next up. Absolutely terrible. We had the Kevin Owens show with Shane McMahon. So this was actually Shane McMahon's first real in-ring appearance. We've seen him the last couple months, of course, with the Raw Underground nonsense. But this was the first time he's been inside a ring since he lost to Kevin Owens back on the first episode of SmackDown on Fox about a year ago. It's crazy to think it's already been a year since SmackDown on Fox started. Not that the show was good or anything like that. SmackDown's terrible, but you guys get the point. But we had Kevin Owens, the KO show. I don't know if you guys saw Kevin Owens was complaining. There was a report going on Kevin Owens being unhappy creatively with his direction. And why would I blame? I don't blame him whatsoever. I've been saying here for months, ever since KO beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Why isn't Kevin Owens in any title pictures? I think KO's only had one championship match all year. And that was when he faced Apollo for the U.S. Championship in a match that was a no contest. I said for months, KO should be built as one of the top baby faces on all of Monday Night Raw. He should be fighting for U.S. championships, fighting for the WWE Championship. He is that good. It feels like forever ago that KO was the Universal Championship. Remember when he was Universal Champion and he held the title for close to 6 months? From September to February when he lost to Goldberg. I think that was like 2016, 2017. It was actually a really good title reign for him. You know, he had the whole thing on with Chris Jericho, and it was great. That feels like forever ago. I want that KO back. I love KO as a babyface. Alright? He should be one of the top babyfaces in your company. So should Aleister Black until they fucked him up. The fact that KO is not fighting for titles, it makes no sense to me. He has every right to be creatively frustrated because he is too damn good to be ignored. Too damn good to be ignored. And the fact that he's been renegated to hosting the KO show basically every single week. That's basically what he does. Every single week he's in the KO show. No matter if it's, having the Riot Squad or the Iconics when they were still a team, or Aleister Black tonight with Shane McMahon. Like, come on. Come on, bro. I hate the fact that KO, it gets this kind of treatment because he is too damn good to be disrespected like this. So I agree with KO all the way. Hopefully the draft maybe gets moved over to SmackDown, right? You could give us, I would love to see Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn for the IC Championship. A heel Sami Zayn versus a babyface KO with their history, that would be fantastic. You could give me KO versus Styles again. You could give me KO versus Jeff Hardy. I can see KO in the Universal title picture, fighting Roman Reigns, fighting Bray Wyatt, right? There's stuff you can do with KO. It's absolutely ridiculous. He should not be in this position right now. Way too good. Way too good to be wasted. All right? But KO welcomed Shane McMahon to the KO show. You could see there was tension between the two because of their past issues. And for both of them, you can see that these issues were not completely behind them. McMahon was there to promote, Dabba-Kato for Braun Strowman on Raw Underground. Even though, I didn't really give a shit because you're promoting something that's taking place on the same show that you're on currently. The Kevin Owens show is a show or a segment on Monday Night Raw inside a 3-hour show. Just like how Raw Underground is a segment that's a part of 3-hour Monday Night Raw every single week. So that didn't make any sense to me, but hey, they're trying to, promote and market Raw Underground as something completely different, even though it's garbage and it's fake UFC at the heart. It's really that simple, and I don't care what anybody else says, because that's factual. And it's just garbage. It really is. So, basically, we saw Shane. He introduced Dabba-Kato to the Thunderdome. He had his own music, and legit, I hate this. Remember the days? Remember back in the Attitude Era when WWE was focused on making characters that you could get invested into, and using those characters to make out very creative and organic storylines? Remember those days? And yeah, now if you're 7 feet, you have to be pushed to the top of the main roster. Like, I'm so tired of it. These Braun Strowmans, these Great Khali's, right? If you're a big man, oh yeah, you automatically need to be in a world title feud. Dabba-Kato out here looked like the Great Khali. With his entrance, his mannerisms, absolutely ridiculous. There's nothing, I didn't see anything special about the guy. Really legit. It's all about, if you're 7 feet, or if you're a great wrestler. What happened to the days when we wanted to make great characters? No, it's all about, size and wrestling ability. Everybody can wrestle. Unless you're trash like somebody like Nia Jax, or Tamina, or Lacey Evans. Terrible, bro. So tired of this nonsense with this company, bro. So tired of it all, bro. Fucking ridiculous. So, Dabba-Kato comes out, and he's talking with KO. Excuse me, guys, my chair is mad uncomfortable. But Dabba-Kato comes out, and, they talked about how KO and Kato have history. Thanks to what happened a couple weeks ago on Raw Underground. Kato attacked KO during his match with Aleister Black. And KO said that even though it's not going to be tonight, but one day he would finish what Kato started. And then he slapped. I'm not going to lie, KO slapped the shit out of Kato. Like, that shit was loud. And then Kyle got pissed, but Shane told Kyle to, calm down. Then Strowman came out, and then Shane told Strowman and Kyle to save whatever animosity they had for Raw Underground later in the night. And then Aleister Black attacked KO outside the ring. So it looks like we're getting a continuation of the Aleister Black and KO feud. Not that I really care. Still, you still haven't explained to me why Aleister Black is a heel, and it's been a month. Aleister Black still has not explained why he's a heel. Yeah, you WWE thought I would forget about that. Yeah, insulting our intelligence once again. Insulting our intelligence. Absolutely ridiculous. This company makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. I'm like, I'm never like, KO did have a good line. He said Aleister Black looking like a cheap Hot Topic. But you guys know that is like a pop culture store. You can find that at almost any mall. Which I did laugh at that. But this show, bro. This show. Ugh. Just trying to readjust my chair. Sorry, guys. But anyway. This show was garbage, bro. Still don't understand why Aleister Black is a heel. Anyway, getting back into it. What happened next? Alright, so yeah, we had Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre. Another thing that didn't make sense on tonight's show. We just saw, first of all, Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre. That's a WrestleMania-worthy match. They gave it to us for free last week. We didn't even get a finish to the match because of the garbage with Retribution. And then they decide, we didn't get a conclusive finish, so let's just do the match again, because it's not like we have anything else for Drew or Keith, right? We have nobody else for them to face. We have nothing else for them to do. We're so lazy, we have nothing creatively to come up with, so let's just do Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre once again, right? A second week in a row. And this was obvious. This was clearly obvious where this was going. Keith Lee, if he won the match, he would replace Randy Orton at Clash of Champions in the ambulance match. They didn't do the finish last week, but they did the finish that they would have done last week. Instead, the match was good. It was, there was definitely another level these two could have gone for. But still, and like I said, Keith Lee's still wrestling in a freaking singlet and his entrance music not being changed. I'm going to keep bitching about it every single week. It's become a gimmick on this podcast. I will not rest until Keith Lee gets the proper ring music and attire that he deserves. Absolutely ridiculous what he's wrestling in. But the match wasn't anything. It was a good match, but like I said, there was another level that these two could have easily gone to. All right, and then Lee said, "This is my chance, Drew," as he tried to set him up for a spear bomb, but McIntyre escaped out of it and hit a beautiful Claymore kick. But right as he went for the pin to finish Lee off, this was predictable because you weren't going to have Keith Lee lose clean. We saw Orton appear and hit a huge chair shot on Drew McIntyre. As the bell rang for the disqualification, we saw Orton stuff a chair right on top of McIntyre's jaw, selling the impact that, McIntyre is still recovering from those punt kicks. So like I said, they're going the Clash Champions with the story being... with the story being both are selling jaw injuries because of each other's finishing moves. Alright, so then after that, for a good measure, he did the running punt kick on Lee, which Lee sold beautifully as the segment ended. And like I said, WWE, man, they get worse and worse with the piping crowd noise. They had huge boos, huge boos running, coming from the sound system. Absolute garbage, bro. It didn't need to be that ridiculous. It really didn't. So then we come back from break, and Randy Orton cut a very good promo. Wasn't surprised here, because this is Randy Orton. He's been the best promo in all of WWE these last couple months. So he cut a promo talking about how the ride in the ambulance was a couple weeks ago and how it's going to be when he puts Drew McIntyre inside an ambulance to win his 14th WWE Championship. I will say this. I don't know. Let me know. Guys, leave a like on this video right now. Right now. if I should do a Clash of Champions prediction stream later this week. All right, I'm thinking if I choose to do so, I'm thinking either Wednesday or Friday. Maybe. But I haven't, decided if I'm even going to do the stream yet. But if you guys think I should, let me know. Let me know, and I'll definitely do it. All right, but yeah, I think Randy Orton is going to win. Yeah, and I think the whole point of the ambulance match and this not being a normal pinfall match is because they don't want Drew McIntyre to get pinned, which I don't have a problem with. It's just going to be interesting, like, where does Drew go? Because if Randy Orton is going to win the championship, and then we get, like, Randy Orton and Drew at Hell in a Cell to end the feud, where do they go from here? Right? Randy Orton goes on to be WWE champion, right? He'll probably lose the title to Edge when Edge comes back during WrestleMania season. But where does Drew go? Does Drew get drafted to SmackDown maybe and challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal title? I could get behind that, but I do think Orton is most likely, as of right now, I think it's likely for McIntyre to walk out no longer WWE champion with Orton getting his 14th. But let me know. But getting into the next thing, we had a number one contenders match. Mickie James versus Zelina Vega. The winner would face Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at Clash of Champions. All right, we all saw last week. I ranted and bitched and moaned about it. The whole Mickie James Asuka botch finish situation. It was reported that the referee thought that Mickie had suffered some kind of head or neck injury, but it wasn't the case. But I'm not going to get mad at the referee there. He was looking out for Mickie's safety first, which is what you're supposed to do. We all saw what happened in AEW with Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara at All Out and how that match should have been stopped, but it wasn't. So I'm not going to get mad at that. But like I said, I don't want to see Mickie James in the title picture. I only think she should be wrestling, period. And it's not me disrespecting her, like I said. This is the problem with WWE. They came out with this number one contenders match just out of nowhere. I love Zelina Vega. You guys know this. I do love Zelina Vega, and I'm excited that she's actually wrestling now. I would love to see Zelina Vega be built up. She should not be facing Asuka. It's the match only has 2 weeks of build. There's no real story behind it. The whole story is now, Zelina Vega, now that she's no longer managing Garza and Andrade, even though I could easily see her going back to being a manager eventually. But the whole big thing here is she's out, now she's wrestling, doing what she believes she should have been doing the entire time, and how she believes this is her time. I do love the energy that Zelina Vega brought tonight, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I read multiple reports that WWE had no idea what they wanted to do with Asuka in the Raw Women's Championship at Clash of Champions. They had no idea. At first, it was supposed to be Shayna Baszler, but Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are the Women's Tag Team Championships, so they had to change plans for that. There was reports of them considering Natalya, which is terrible, and Lana, which is even more terrible. There was reports of them considering doing another match with Mickie James, which we all thought we were going to get, but we're instead getting Zelina Vega. And like I said, I would not be mad about this if Zelina Vega had been built up. Have Zelina get some wins over her for herself. Have her beat a Billie Kay, a Peyton Royce, a Lana, a Mickie James. Then you can talk about her being a number one contender. She was just a manager last week. And now 1 week later, she's the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. What sense does that make? In any world, what sense does that make? And I read a report that Vince legit forgot that Bianca Belair is on the main roster. He legit forgot. Bianca was on the show tonight. She was doing some workout segment talking about how she's the EST. Kind of similar to what they're doing with Matt Riddle on SmackDown with the Know Your Bro segments. But no, I don't want to see this. I want to see Bianca Belair in the ring kicking ass. I want to see Bianca Belair doing these little EST segments backstage. Or see her on Main Event Wrestling Billie Kay. She's going to be on Monday Night Raw picking up victories, putting herself in the Raw Women's title hunt. If this doesn't tell you how out of touch and how badly Vince needs to go, I don't know what will. I don't. Bianca Belair is legit, arguably, probably is the most athletic superstar in that women's division today. She's one of the best overall female wrestlers on the company. She is right up there with the best. She's not number one like a Sasha Banks or an Asuka, but she is right up there in the conversation. She is that great. And I've been saying for months that you used to be building up Bianca Belair to be the next star in the Raw Women's division, especially with Charlotte and Becky and Ronda Rousey not being there, and Sasha and Bayley doing their thing on SmackDown. Used to be building up Bianca Belair. So when those names come back, Bianca Belair will have people to face, and it'll be absolutely great. But instead, you continue to have Bianca Belair not in the title picture. I don't get it. And the fact that Vince forgot that she was even on the roster, that's to tell you how much he needs to go. Because like I said, I love Zelina Vega, but it makes no sense for her to be the one facing Asuka right now. No sense. It would have made a lot more sense just to give an Asuka and Mickie James rematch. Or, I don't believe I'm saying this, or Asuka and Natalya. It's not believable. And yes, the Zelina and Mickie James match, first of all, tonight, Mickie James, her offense, man. Like I said, Mickie James should not be wrestling at her age. She really shouldn't. And I don't want to see her in the title hunt, to be honest. I don't. Her offense tonight has no energy behind it. Her moves weren't even touching Zelina. It was just Zelina was doing a really good job of selling them. But her moves were not even touching Zelina at all. Her kicks, her punches have no intensity, no energy behind them. Zelina out-wrestled Mickie James tonight. And I don't believe those words came out of my mouth. And I love Zelina Vega. But Zelina just out-wrestled a complete veteran tonight. And she got the win doing a backstabber, which looked very similar to how Sasha Banks sets up the bake statement on her opponent. So I don't know how I feel about that being Zelina's finishing move. But I'm happy Zelina got the win, but it does not make any sense for her to be competing for the Raw Women's Championship at this stage without her being built up. And I gotta be honest. Will Zelina beat Asuka this Sunday? I would not be surprised if they do it. Because I think at least one women's title is changing hands. It's not going to be Bayley. Bayley's defeating Nikki Cross. Either the women's tag team championships are going home with the Riot Squad, or the Raw Women's Championships going home with Zelina Vega. All right, and we'll have to wait and see until this Sunday. But I like Zelina Vega. She definitely has good in-ring style, especially for her height and her weight, not being as big as she is. But it makes no sense for her to be competing against Asuka this Sunday. I'm not saying it can't be a good match, but it makes no sense from a logic standpoint. I don't care what anybody says. All right? It makes zero sense whatsoever. And Diggy Dog, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but Diggy Dog says they announced on the show today that Asuka and Zelina Vega is going to be on the kickoff show at Clash of Champions. Are you kidding me? Really? Asuka and Zelina Vega on the kickoff show? First of all, Asuka! She's one of the best female wrestlers in the world. Arguably second behind Sasha Banks in that category, in my opinion. And you're putting her, the Raw Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Champion. She's been one of the only positives on Monday Night Raw throughout this entire pandemic, and you're putting her on the kickoff show? I hope you're wrong, bro, but if you're right, that is absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I don't care what anybody says. That is terrible booking. Terrible booking. Instead of putting matches like the Raw Tag Team Championship match, or the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, or even the Women's Tag Team titles, those are the matches that's to be on the kickoff show, not Asuka. That's terrible. That's terrible. And then alright, my boy Jazz says, and I heard that Bayley's going to turn face, not Sasha. Bro, Jazz, use your common sense, bro. You're smarter than this. You watch this podcast every single week. You're smarter than this. Why the hell would Bayley turn babyface? Why the hell would Bayley turn babyface? Bayley should never turn babyface again, one. And two, Bayley was the one that turned on Sasha. Why would Bayley be turning babyface? Sasha's the sympathetic babyface in this situation. Sasha's already been turned. They turned Sasha babyface 2 weeks ago in the tag team match against Nia Jax and Shayna. I don't, Jazz, bro. Some YouTuber made a video. Unless it's JD from NY or me, you shouldn't be listening to anybody else. Or BC Amplified. Unless it's one of us 3 podcasters, and you hear it from us, you don't listen to anybody else. Unless it's from a credible source, like Ringside News, or IW Nerd, or Bleacher Report. I don't know who the hell would say that. Use your common sense, bro. You're smarter than that. It would make no sense for Bayley to turn babyface. See, Sasha has already been turned into the face of the feud. So we'll just leave it at that. We'll save that for SmackDown, man. But that makes no sense. Next up, we had Apollo Crews versus Cedric Alexander. I didn't care. I didn't care about this match too much. Not that I didn't care about the match. I actually like what they're doing. I like what they're doing with Cedric's heel turn. It looks like he has a new intensity and new motivation. I like him being in the Hurt Business. He's cut some really good promos the last couple weeks. All right. And basically, we saw. I'm trying to look at my notes. Cedric Alexander talked about, I'm going to kick your ass tonight. Just for all the time that I wasted having your back for your useless championship runs and opportunities. And plus, I don't give a damn about your kids. So Cedric Alexander pulling a Brock Lesnar on Heath Slater a couple years back. So Cedric Alexander cut a pretty good promo here. But Apollo came out. And we do have Apollo versus Bobby Lashley at Clash Champions for the United States Championship. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't care. I just want Mustafa Ali back wrestling on Monday Night Raw. Get Mustafa Ali off main event and build him up on Monday Night Raw, please. Absolutely ridiculous. And then we saw the match was anything special, but we saw Cruz. He won the match after Alexander got distracted by Ricochet, and he got the win via roll-up. So Apollo got the win via roll-up. After the match, we saw the Hurt Business come out. We're trying to regain some of the momentum they lost earlier into the night because of what happened with Retribution. They beat the shit out of Cruz and Ricochet, and they sent a message to Retribution. So there we go. And then we also saw Lashley put Cruz in the Hurt Lock ahead of their match at Clash Champions. I don't see Apollo winning that title back. Like I said, Apollo's never regained that title. Never. I'd be shocked if Apollo beats Lashley this Sunday. I don't see that happening at all. At all. All right. Moving on. When we talk about WWE not knowing how to be creative, this is the shit I'm talking about. This is the shit I'm talking about. Seth Rollins comes out, right? We saw Seth earlier after he walked out with Buddy Murphy. He came out tonight, and Buddy Murphy was not with him. But we saw Rollins. He had a yellow envelope in his hand, and I was just, oh my gosh, this is going to be something ridiculous. I could tell right away, and it was bad. So, Rollins put up a picture of the Mysterio family, all 4 members, and he said something was just not right. And I think he was alluding to the fact that Dominic was much more taller than Ray, whatever. We know this all the time. Kids are, most of the time, kids are taller than their fathers. Right? But whatever. I'm not going to try to go into depth about, genetics and all that shit. But he invited the Mysterio family into the arena, which they eventually came out. And he revealed that there was a DNA test that had proven that Ray was not the father of Dominic. But then Ray shut that down because this was legit a rinse and repeat of a segment we've already seen. We've seen this back in 2005 with Eddie Guerrero. We saw this back in 2005 with the whole Dominic's custody. And that storyline wasn't good. The storyline was not good then, and it's even 10 times worse now. Just remember a couple months back, I'm trying to remember. Remember when they did the freaking Jeff Hardy and Sheamus segment when they had Jeff Hardy do the P test and do the same. It was legit a rinse and repeat segment that they did back in 2006 with Shawn Michaels and Shane McMahon and Vince. Well, why? They're to be so uncreative. They're so lazy to write something new that they go back to segments from 10, 15 years ago in the past that weren't even good at the time and try to bring them back in 2020. It's insulting our intelligence. Because here they are, they're hoping to get the casters to say, oh, this is good. But then you have a long-term viewer like me, someone who's educated when it comes to wrestling, like me, right? And then someone who's been watching wrestling his entire life, who knows these segments, who knows these storylines, and they try to get a fast one on you. They're like, oh, Fitz is going to recognize that. I did recognize that. And it was bad then, and it's bad now. Terrible. Show makes absolutely 0 cents. 0 cents. So then Seth decided to take the attention off Dominic and then put it on Ray's daughter, Aliyah. Alright. And then he also went as far as to show a brief moment of when Aliyah was consoling Murphy after last week's steel cage match. And then eventually Ray was defending his daughter from Seth, but then he eventually he accidentally, that's the word I'm looking for. He accidentally called Aliyah a naive and basically just a 19-year-old kid. And then this did not make Aliyah happy, and she walked off. So clearly, this was a Seth, trying to cause tension in the Mysterio family because of how united they are each and every single week. There was another backstage segment with with the Mysterio family arguing. It was mainly Ray arguing with Aliyah, and Aliyah was unhappy. We also saw another quick second of Murphy apologizing to Aliyah later on in the night. So, I don't know, man. I don't even know why this feud is still going on. Why is this feud still going on? Someone tell me that, please. Someone please tell me that. Why is this storyline still going on? I don't give a shit about it. WWE just knows how to put shit in the ground, bro. Street Profits against Garza and Andrade. The Hurt Business against Apollo Crews and Ricochet every single week. Seth Rollins and Murphy going up against the Mysterio family. This company knows how to put shit in the ground. It's crazy and ridiculous, and I don't understand it. I really do not. It disgusts me. They know how to run shit into the ground. Clearly, Murphy's going to turn on Rollins eventually. He's going to have enough of his shit. But I can't say that I care. I can't say that I care about this at all. Alright, next up we had Lana and Natalya versus the Tag Team Championships, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I still don't give a shit about Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as a tag team, and I don't care. I don't care about this at all. You had Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan watching from the commentary position. We know that these two teams, the Riott Squad and Baszler and Jax, will be facing for the tag team titles at Clash Champions. I do think the Riott Squad should win that match, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I care about it, because I really don't. Just being honest with y'all. But anyway, excuse me. Basically, this was a squash. This was basically, 2-3 minutes max, and I believe Shayna put Lana in the Karafuji clutch. They weren't going to have Natalya get pinned. This was basically the same shit that happened last week. Last week you had the Riott Squad defeat Lana and Natalya with Lana getting beat, and now you did the same thing this week. And after the match, we saw that Baszler and Nia did intimidate Riott and Morgan, backing them away, from the square circle. The teams brawled for a second, but then it cooled off. But then we also saw Nia Jax put Lana through a table via the Samoa drop for the second straight week. So for the second straight week, Nia puts Lana through a table with the Samoan drop. And clearly, I don't want to hear anybody say that Lana's not being buried, because Muriel, aka Rusev, is now with AEW, and he buried the company. Like I said, first off, I'm not that cool. I don't think it's really that cool anymore when these superstars that were once with WWE now go to AEW to talk shit. All right, it was cool, a couple months ago, but now, especially now that AEW, to me personally, AEW does some things better than WWE, I'm not going to lie, but to me, it just becomes, a WWE 2.0, because you're seeing so many superstars from WWE go there now. Right, you already have your Moxleys, your Cody Rhodes. Now you have people like Zack Ryder's, Luke Harper, The Revival. Now you have Muriel in there now. Vicky Guerrero's there. Like, there's so many WWE superstars that are in that company now, man. And yeah, when I hear of a Muriel or any other former WWE superstar just shitting on WWE, I don't find it that cool anymore. It's not. All right, it was cool back in the day, but it's not. But clearly, you cannot tell me that Lana is not. Not that I give a shit about Lana, but Lana is clearly being buried, right? Being tapped out 2 weeks in a row now, and being put through an announce table by Nia Jax 2 weeks in a row. Come on, Lana is clearly being punished because she is the wife of Rusev, and WWE wants to embarrass Lana to send a message to Rusev. It's that simple. It's that simple, right? Come on. But next up, we had Asuka versus Peyton Royce. This match wasn't terrible. It wasn't anything special, all right? It's hard to have a bad match with Asuka, But the match didn't even get finished. I think Asuka was about to put Peyton Royce in the Asuka lock, but out of nowhere, Zelina Vega attacked Asuka. All right, Zelina got some attacks in to build up for their match this Sunday. Asuka tried to fight back, but Zelina escaped via the entrance ramp. Like I said, I like the intensity that Zelina Vega is showing here, but it makes zero sense for her to be in this position. It doesn't. So I'm not gonna repeat what I've already said, but hey, terrible. All right. And to the main event. You built up Retribution the entire show for this main event. Alright? This is awful. This was awful. Retribution versus the Hurt Business. Right? The Hurt Business should not be losing because they are, one of the best things on Monday Night Raw. And Retribution, you want me to care about them, even though I don't give a shit about them, but you want me to care about Retribution, so you should be booking them at least in decent, right? They should be built up as a dominant stable. And like I said, I'm going to call them by their real names: Jajakovic, Madden, and Shane Thorne. I'm not going to call them by those ridiculous names that WWE came up with them. Alright, like freaking Slapjack, Mace, and T-Bar. No, terrible. But the match went back and forth. The match wasn't anything special. I didn't really care about the match. I wanted to see the ending. I wanted to see where they're going to get the win to the Hurt Business or where they're going to get the win to Retribution. I'm by the belief that Retribution will be dead and buried by the end of the year anyway. I don't have much care for them. I don't see any direction for them. It's just whatever with them. It's it, right? But as we saw, Bobby Lashley got the hot tag, and he took out most of Retribution right when he was setting up for the full Nelson. We saw the rest of Retribution, the extras, whatever you want to call them. They hit the ring, and we got a DQ. So now the Hurt Business being attacked by Retribution for the second time in one night. That's hurting their momentum, right? And what? Retribution not being able to win a match without having to send their other 20 watchdogs out to the ring. That's not going to make me care about them. This is going to make them look like pussies in my eyes. So this match did nothing for either team. Either team. Then we saw Drew McIntyre rush the ring with the rest of the Raw roster, right? And they cleared the ring of Retribution. Retribution ran. But out of nowhere, Randy Orton appeared and hit an RKO to end things, entering the Clash of Champions this weekend. And this was whatever. You built up. You made this whole show built up about Retribution now being signed to Monday Night Raw exclusively, having contracts. First of all, their look looks ridiculous, right? Their appearance is terrible. Those masks need to be thrown in the trash, right? And now you're insulting our intelligence because we know these are superstars that were once in NXT, right? And then you don't even have them look dominant tonight. You don't have them look dominant at all. You basically did everything tonight, right? Trying to build this show around Retribution just for the show to end with Randy Orton RKOing Drew McIntyre. Great job. Retribution will be dead and buried by the end of the year. Mark my words. I would not be surprised if this leads to some shit with Survivor Series. Honestly. Not that I care whatsoever. But anyway, other than that, guys, that's about it, bro. That's about it. Yeah, I'm going to end the podcast, a little bit early, man, but this show was awful tonight, and you cannot tell me otherwise. Clash of Champions is this Sunday, but I wouldn't know with the way that he was booking these shows. But this Sunday, Clash of Champions, all right? We will be covering it here on the podcast. I won't be doing a live reaction stream for Clash of Champions, but we will have a review right here on the podcast right after Clash of Champions goes off the air. So make sure you guys are here for that. I will most likely do a Clash of Champions prediction stream later this week. I'm thinking either Wednesday or Friday. I gotta see how my schedule and the week goes, so I'll let you guys know about that. So follow me on social media so you guys are updated. When I go live with that video and what decision I make. Other than that, guys, thank you guys for joining me on the podcast. No matter if you guys are in the stream or watch this on demand, thank you guys as always. Other than that, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. As always, leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed so we can educate other casuals in the WWE community. Also, guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys are new by hitting the bell right next to my name, FitzMonkTV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys for everything. I'll see you guys later this week for Clash of Champions. Go check out all my other content that's on the channel, like the Sasha Banks and Bayley videos I've been making. I've been banging those out these last couple of weeks, man. Sasha's promo this Friday, woo! That was amazing. Go check out that video I did, my reaction to that. Also, thank you guys for everything. Check out all the other content we got coming. Lots of big things. I'll see y'all later, guys. Stay safe and healthy.